Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm working on the dinosaur that I started last week, and picking up from where I left off, I'm just adding a bit more detail into the background before I get to work on the actual T-Rex. So I'm still using pastel pencils, and I've chosen a really dark kind of greenish blue to add some ripples to the water. The main color is the mid-tone that I put down with the pan pastel, and the same as with the ferns at the bottom, the highlights I'm leaving to be added later. Because I always like to add the highlights at the end. It tends to be a bit more easier to see which areas need them more. I also want to do these two dinosaurs in the back as sort of silhouettes because they're really far away and kind of in a shadowy area. I don't want them to draw attention. I just want them there to kind of make the background a little bit more interesting. As I put in this black for the silhouettes, I can instantly see that the grass underneath them is just a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna have to add just a little layer of shadow to kind of darken it a little bit in front of them. I want the top bit to stay bright because that's kind of catching most of the light, and I'm just using a very fine Q-tip from Muji. It's one of these makeup ones. It's about half the size, if not less, of a regular Q-tip. So it's kind of really handy for blending. I've added some very bright outlines for the little arms here. It's where the light will hit them, so it's going to be in a kind of area of highlight, but in the meantime, what it does is it helps me not lose track of basically the outline where it meets the background. Now, I'm really keen to see just a little bit of detail on this skin, just to see how to go about it. And I've realized the pastel pencils are just a little bit difficult to achieve these very small kind of circles of the can I say leather? Is it leather? Is it skin? Is it scales? The details on his flesh, basically pastel pencils are too soft and I can't get the small circles with them. So for this I've switched to polychromos pencils. They're very kind of, you can get a very fine point, and the points are quite hard. The cores of the pencils are quite hard, so I can sharpen them and they stay sharp and I can get these little details in. I'm trying to avoid using white, so anywhere I need a very light color, I'm going with like beige tones, yellow tones, kind of pinkish tones. They're almost white, but they're not actually white. And anywhere where there are these like kind of dark round spots, the only way you can kind of make them visible to the eye is to kind of highlight them with a lighter color, and vice versa. So where there's lighter kind of areas on the skin, I have to go around them with like a dark brown or green. The color, I'm kind of making it a lot of different colors because of the way the light reflects from the grass, from the water, from just the light. And I don't exactly know if they were brown or green, but the reference photos that I have, they're all kind of different. Some of them have beigey looking skin that looks like skin with folds and wrinkles, and some of them have like almost gator kind of skin with these round bits, which I thought were just more interesting. So I'm doing a little bit of a mix of both. And even though it might be too soon, I have a few large areas where I haven't actually done any kind of base layer blending. I've only put down the pan pastel in some areas, but I really wanted to see how this detail would look, so I'm focusing on a few small areas and putting in the details of the skin before I proceed to fill out the rest of it, because I think kind of seeing how it would look in the small area would help me kind of focus and know how to keep going with it. Now, I'm not going to add all the detail now before I finished doing the base layer of the flesh tone. So what I really want to do is I like the definition on that claw, and as it's a very small area, I really want to get them both done. because I never actually drew out the details of the claws when I initially drew them, just a kind of basic shape. So putting them down using these firmer pencils is kind of helpful, because it's going to be, well, it would be almost impossible to do with the very kind of soft pastels. So while I've got these out, I want to get both the claws done, and just seeing this kind of the detail gives me an idea of how I want to approach the rest of it. So it's kind of like an experimental stage, because I've never drawn a dinosaur before. And I'm also alternating the texture of his skin. So in the bottom I did these kind of round bits, and at the top they're not exactly spiky, but they're more kind of arrow shaped, just to get a feel of the different kind of ways I can do his flesh. And now I'm switching back to pastel pencils, because I want to do the general kind of tone of his flesh before I do all the rest of the details. It's quite a large sheet. This is an A3 sheet of paper, so you really can't avoid having a base layer of color. It just wouldn't look right, especially on such a dark surface where it comes through. Although I have to say, the pastel mat takes all kinds of pencils really well. I mean, I know it's designed for pastels, but it takes all pencils really amazingly well, because the grit just kind of, it takes a lot of layers, and they show up really brilliantly. Now, as I don't really know what color T-Rexes are meant to be, I'm using a little bit of artistic license and just kind of mixing up a lot of colors, just going by feel really. Like I mentioned earlier, some are almost a reflection of its environment, some are just guesswork in terms of maybe seeing them in the movies being kind of brown or greenish color, or just kind of guessing and using other animals, like, you know, like I said, like crocodiles for the skin and so on. But I kind of know what shape they're meant to be, so I'm paying attention to the curves of its body and adding shadows in the creases and all that sort of thing. But I am mixing up a lot of colors to get the kind of basic skin tone, and then where anything feels a bit too bright, I'm darkening it. If it feels a bit too you know, dark, I'm lightening it, and I'm just mixing it up. And then on top of that, there's obviously going to be a lot of the detail that I've tried out around the kind of neck and arms area so far, but haven't actually got to that. I need to blend out the skin tone first, and just see if I get the kind of right feel for what I think I want my T-Rex to look like. I've also gotten a blue pencil matching the color of the sky, so I can crisp up the outline around its head, because I want to put in the teeth, and what I don't want to do is to later have to try and get in between the teeth to fix any kind of outline. So I think the teeth are really important in this kind of picture, because obviously they're a massive part, and I think they'll kind of bring the whole face to life. And I'm really excited about doing this bit. And again, I'm staying away from white. I've picked 3 or 4 grays, and yeah, so the lightest area is kind of a light warm gray, and then I've got a light cool gray and a kind of mid-range gray, almost a dark gray for the top bits, where the kind of top of its mouth casts a shadow on the top of the tooth. And the inside of the back teeth are obviously a very dark grey, because they're in the shadow and the light is on the opposite side of them. Another really important part about getting the teeth to look right is going around the bottom edge and rounding it off. In this case, I'm using a black pencil. I've already done the inside of the top teeth, and I'm just going around the bottom one. So what happens is, as I kind of round up the edges of the teeth, they tend to look a bit more three-dimensional, and that makes them look just kind of more like teeth rather than just random spikes. and then I'm darkening the inside of the mouth where obviously you can't really see much detail, and that, again, the depth and the contrast just kind of brings it to life a little bit. I did give it some red kind of hints because obviously the inside of the mouth is quite red, so yeah, it just kind of makes it pop. I'll add the highlights later. I had to sharpen my pencil a lot to get this tiny little eye. It's always amazed me how such a massive creature can have such a tiny little eye, but there it is. Again, that needs, it feels like it needs a lot more shadow to kind of make it look more, I don't know, more inset, more deeper in the face. But as I've not done the detail on the face yet, I think I'll deepen it as I add the texture. Now this video is already 10 minutes long, and I've still got a ton of work to do, so it looks like I'm not going to be able to finish it today. So I'm going to call this part 2, and hopefully I can actually get this done next week with a part 3. So in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the end of this drawing next week. Thanks again, see you soon.